Alright guys, Technical here today, and Yerrrrrr have run away with the World Gaming title in Toronto. We're going to go through that today. Then there's a lot of Rostermania rumours stuff that came out over the last night. Another few news items as well. So we'll go through that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you do, subscribe if you are new as always. And let's hop right into the bracket play here. So of course, these were the 8 teams at the World Gaming event in Toronto. The defending champions were like Spoof and the GJR Orange guys, I think, that beat E United last year. But interesting nonetheless. So the real favourites, I guess, were this Yerrrrrr squad of absolute superstars. Evil Geniuses, of course, had their full roster, and you could also say that UIU should have deserved a mention here, even though they had Blast instead of Cellium, but they got absolutely smoked. So this was the bracket. So as I mentioned yesterday, a GSL format in the groups. You have to win 2 series before you lose 2 series to get out of the groups. Definitely better than round robin in my opinion. So yeah, FaZe Clan Black beat War to get out the groups. Cyclone actually took out Yerrrrrr in this earlier matchup, but they ended up losing to FaZe Clan Black once they got into the bracket. Yerrrrr beat NOP to make it out all the way. So then we have EG versus Yerrrrr in the semi-finals. These were just single elimination matches, and in a second here I will go through some of EasyMac's scoreboard sheets that he's put together once again for this event, which are absolutely spectacular. So thanks a lot for that. Of course, I'll leave his links in the description box below. So these are the scoreboards once we got to the bracket play. Here we go then. FaZe Clan Black versus Cyclone, and yeah, this is a pretty convincing series. The Search and Destroy and the Control were close. Cyclone, honestly, an impressive team. I was very impressed with this Glow Frosty guy on the ICR. I hadn't seen too much out of him before, to be honest, but he actually got an ace. I'm not sure if it was in this game in the Search and Destroy, but he was performing really well with it, and yeah, I was very impressed indeed. Of course, this is the team where, you know, the name Zaptius would usually be thrown around, and he has been pretty spectacular. But yeah, Super and Spoof not having the best series here by any means, but GodRx and Panda, that old duo from the Ghost Gaming lineup of last season, they were on this squad. Glow Frosty was very impressive, but yeah, no match really for Zoomaa and Cellium and co, who went absolutely off the series. This K-Series plus stat is kind of interesting. Basically, if the series went the distance, how many kills would each player have that EasyMac put together here? So over 100 for both these guys and Glow Frosty, so pretty impressive overall if you were to extrapolate the number of kills over the course of a series that went the entire distance. Yeah, Phantoms and Zoomaa playing very well indeed, but I guess you are really expected to beat a team like this. Then the next series, Yerrrrr versus Evil Geniuses, and well, this almost signals definitely that Evil Geniuses are going to make some sort of change. They come to this event with their full lineup. They've still got Revan as coach there, they've still got Goonjar, Felony on the team, and yeah, well, they lose to effectively a pickup squad. And this is something that you really can't have happen to you, because Evil Geniuses in the league have been very good in their hardpoints. That has been their strength, it's been their hardpoints, and they get absolutely smoked both hardpoint maps here by the likes of Yerrrrr, especially Skrapz. He dominated both hardpoints. Of course, I mean, look, you've got Skrapz and Gunless on a team, you've got Abezy Arcitys, like, it's a very strong squad. On paper, I guess you should say they're better overall than Evil Geniuses if you gave them enough time to practice. But, you know, they literally just lost to Cyclone earlier in the day. It obviously shows to some degree that they haven't got all of their chemistry there yet. They're only playing, you know, not many series into their run here at the tournament, and they can beat a league team like Evil Geniuses. It shows really that EG are in pretty much a shambolic state right now, and are definitely going to make some sort of change. They do end up winning a round 11 in the Search and Destroy. I think actually this game 3 was an unbelievable choke here. I'm pretty sure EG are up 2-1, and then they also went up like 10 lives at the start of their defense on Control, and then they managed to throw it away. Gunless snuck in the back, and yeah, they ended up capping both points and winning that one, and then ended up winning the game for the round 5 as well, before comfortably taking home the both hard points in this one. So yeah, crushing performance. Skrapz had a 2.0 KD over both hard points. That's very impressive stuff, and it leads in nicely to the discussion we'll have in a second here of exactly what Evil Geniuses are going to do with some of the players on this team, because it seems like Goonjar and Felony are almost certainly going to have to go from this one. I'm pretty sure Goon was like 7 in 27 on that last map, and well, that may well be the last map he ever plays for Evil Geniuses, so well, we'll see. Then we have the grand finals, and this was a fun one because of course you've got this FaZe Black squad. Zoomaa's on this team. You've also got some other names we've heard of. Cellium's there, Asim has definitely been a player that, you know, I've rated kind of highly when I've seen him play. Phantoms also seems to be pretty damn good, even though it says he was on the ICR here, but I think at times Gravity was using it and then Phantoms was like a secondary. It's a bit of a weird situation what was going on. I think the roles were switching up a little bit. And game 1, FaZe Clan Black make a really nice comeback here on frequency hardpoint. They were down significantly early on. Gunless was absolutely crushing them in the early part of that hardpoint. And then, yeah, FaZe Clan brought it all the way back and they ended up winning a very close matchup towards the end. And yeah, Yerrrrrr couldn't close it out. Then game 2, it pretty much was comfortable from then on for the guys of Yerrrrrr. Like, they just turned up big time. Abezy was an interesting player on this team because, like, early on in the tournament, he really wasn't playing that well. Like, he was consistently going, like, starting games at least pretty negative, but he really turned it around this series. I was incredibly impressed with the shots he was hitting with the SMG, especially on this game 2 Arsenal Search and Destroy, where there was one round where he just flew out towards the jet and absolutely beamed a guy that was at the door. Nothing you could do about that if you're on the other guy's perspective. You're just like, fair play, nice shots. And yeah, FaZe Clan Black couldn't really get too much going here. Yerrrrrr ended up taking the series and the championship home. $25,000 in their back pocket here. 3-1 favour of Yerrrrrr in the control and then comfortably close it out in the game 4 hardpoint. And yeah, of course, I guess these guys were favourites coming into this tournament, but it's still nice to see. Of course, the old trio of Arcitys, Gunless and Silly without Pristini from that E-United roster at the very start of Infinite Warfare when they won CWL Atlanta. I'm pretty sure was the one they won, with Gunless being the MVP. So yeah, that was a fun time to get those guys reunited. And then Abezy from the currently United lineup, and of course Skrapz, this free agent who is definitely hot property right now, rumoured to be going over towards this FaZe Clan team. We'll talk about that more in just a second here. So to close out the stuff on the World Gaming event, these are the KDs courtesy of EasyMac from this event. So I'm just going to scroll up his tweets because he's put all the relevant things here. So yeah, top hardpoint KDs. Pretty impressed by Blaz, to be honest. He comes to this tournament, drops a 1.3 in hardpoint, even though you get absolutely smoked out of the tournament. Well, you know, maybe you could argue that to some degree Blaz was doing a bit of kill hoarding. You know, if your whole team's going negative and Blaz is the one going 1.3s in hardpoint and you're barely winning anything, maybe there's to be something to be said about that. But at the end of the day, he was a substitute, so it's not like he necessarily knew the right way to play and couldn't make it work. We have Glow Frosty here as well, who, well, performs very well indeed this tournament. Scrolling up through the S&D KDs, wow, Frosty had a 1.9, sheesh, okay. Royalty and Exotic do well as well. Exotic, sorry, I should say it like that. And yeah, so these are the statistics, control KDs, and then the overall respawn KDs as well. Average kill time, Arcitys is top in the list. And yeah, this Hollow guy, who also had a couple of good maps. Pretty interesting character, this guy, because he used to be called Norks, I think, back in World War II, if you guys remember that name. And he changed his name like 3 or 4 times or something, and now he's sitting there with Hollow. So it's an interesting scenario. Let's move on. So we have this news from Parasite, not really surprised. Midnight is looking for a substitute for CWL London. You will be compensated. Contact me for details if interested. SMG players preferred. This is referring to Saints, who for whatever reason can't seem to leave the country or something in the United States. So yeah, Midnight is going to be looking for a replacement, as always happens for CWL London. You will be compensated is a funny way to phrase things. But yeah, if you guys want to be a pickup for Parasite's team, then hit him up on Twitter. Maybe he'll pick you up. So another thing to mention, Bravado Gaming. You may have heard this name from other esports, CSGO. They also had a South African team. They will be attending CWL London from the 3rd to the 5th of May. So this is the South African team. Lithium is the big name from the South African scene. Haven't really heard too much about the other guys, but well, I thought I'd mention it because it's pretty damn cool to see that global representation. Now there is rumours that Brian Saint will now be coaching the Midnight squad. Saint says time for the next chapter. RC's replies with, well, this gif right here, and then Saint replies with this, you know, some song called Midnight. So, well, maybe it's bait, but unlikely in my opinion. It seems like Midnight may be in need of a coach, and Saint could be the man. Okay, so let's go on to some Rostermania rumours stuff before we finish the video here. So this is a tweet from, well, the 7th of April, so yesterday. Rated says Reciprocity isn't making any changes as far as he knows. Dylan confirms the same in the chat. Rated says Alex will be in the league and says wink wink, which to some degree implies that maybe Alex will be alongside Rated and probably Joe, because Joe and Rated are basically a package deal at this point if, you know, he does make it into the league. As I said yesterday, I really don't know exactly what team they would end up on. Well, I'm very intrigued, but we'll have to see. Rated FaZe hasn't bought the red reserve spot yet, but it probably will happen, which is other things that I've heard as well. Once again, this is courtesy of the Intel Call of Duty Twitter account, which does a great job putting all the stuff that Coldburner says on Reddit onto Twitter, which makes it easier for everyone to follow. So thanks a lot for that. I'll link it down in the description box below. And also, speaking of Alex, Josh has replaced him in the 1K. So in the 1K yesterday, there was this tournament, of course, that went on, and the Team Sween roster with Cammy MVP, Quicker, Nolson, and Wee Man. Josh comes into this team instead of Alex. Maybe Alex is on his way to the States. Maybe Alex is practicing with the other guys. Maybe they just know that he's not going to be playing with them long term, so they've swapped him out for Josh. Who knows exactly what's going on, but definitely something to consider. So let's go through all of these tweets from yesterday. A lot of things that Codburner said on the Reddit that the Intel Call of Duty account has put onto Twitter here, so I'll just scroll up through them, probably makes it a little bit easier. So yeah, Codburner says he doesn't think Envy gets Cellium because Skrapz would rather play with Cellium over JCap if FaZe buys the spot. Of course, Cellium was a pretty damn good player this weekend. He had a very good map number 1 against Yerrrrrr in those grand finals. Attaches building the roster. This means on EG. So yeah, the contract situation is effectively as it says here. FaZe can't get replays, Priest, or Attach back unless EG or 100 Thieves sell them back. Now, 100 Thieves, they have no reason to do it, but EG might if FaZe offers enough for Attach. But his roster implies that they can't just call his contract implies they can't just call him back at any time. So EG has to allow them to, well, effectively allow them to bring him back. And Attach may well be building the roster on Evil Geniuses. Who knows whether Rated Joe and Alex end up on this team? I really don't know. And then, yeah, so he bets the FaZe Clan roster is Skrapz, 0, Zoomaa, Cellium, +1. And there's also some rumours that potentially it could be a guy like Pharaoh coming onto this team, or it could be any number of names. I'd be really intrigued to see who you think would fit onto this squad. Skrapz and 0, fantastic duo. I guess 0 would maybe be getting on that ICR that we'll have a look at in a second. Zoomaa and Cellium, currently like not necessarily a package deal, but they've been on this FaZe Clan Black team, of course, having some success. And then they're looking for a 5th. You know, a guy like JCap I thought would work quite nicely here. Some sort of leadership to this squad. Maybe they feel like they don't need it. Maybe Black Ops 4 is a game where that kind of talent, or that the talent in that regard you don't necessarily need. Maybe it's just raw firepower. But yeah, we'll have to see. A couple of other tweets here. Skrapz says hashtag FaZe up on Twitter, and he's actually not throwing one up in this tweet, which is very rare indeed. But yeah, it's a picture of him and Zoomaa. So we'll have to see if this comes to fruition. There's a lot of baiting here with Skrapz tweeting FaZe up all over the place. Maybe it's not baiting, maybe it's legit. And well, I think it's definitely got some grounding in reality. But whether they actually go to this squad is yet to be seen. And then, of course, we have 0 on the Twitter. He says he bets the FaZe Clan roster is XYZ, which is what we said. And yeah, you need an ICR, right? 0 was running ICR in 10s yesterday. 0, how was I doing? Morked it. Appreciate the gas. Anonymous user. So yeah, definitely implying that 0 is probably going to be going to this ICR role, which is pretty exciting because if you guys remember him using the NV4, which is very similar to the ICR, back in the Infinite Warfare season around stage 1 in Anaheim, that was prime time to be a European Call of Duty fan, let's put it that way. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and leave your thoughts below. I'll see you next time.
Peeking it now.
Oh, he's laying down. Oh, I didn't see him. Nice, good night. Oh, Tinkle, you fucking monster!
It's up to you now. You are the last man.
Me and you, man.